mean, when I moved to LA, the first job I had was at a record store. And if they found out I was from Minneapolis, they always would say, why is the music so damn good from Minneapolis? We have 7 months of winter, and what else is there to do besides kill yourself? I mean, you know, or become a hardcore drug addict and alcoholic. You just start playing music.
Somebody found a guitar at a garage sale, you know, so you start plucking away a little bit, you know. Another guy starts plucking away. Two guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing get together and start plucking away together.
Don't be afraid to lead. Try taking charge. Cause once you do it, next time it's not so hard.
We were listening to this band rehearse outside their house, and they happened to be the Hypstrz, Bill and Ernie Batson.
The Hypstrz from northeast Minneapolis drew a straight line between 1960s garage rock and the current punk scene.
We'd go over to the Batson's house, they would have all these records for us. Every time we went over, it was like a record exchange, you know? Like, okay, here's the Buzzcocks, you know, here's Dr. Feelgood, here's all these albums, you know? And we'd go home, listen to them, soak everything up, learn all the songs, start writing our own songs. Hardcore was brand new at the time, and that to me was always the most interesting thing. It was like the new, the innovative, the exploration, you know?
And I was into your basic punk rock stuff, you know, the Clash, the Ramones. But when I heard hardcore, when I heard bands like the Dead Kennedys, and when I finally got hip to the Bad Brains and stuff like that, I just loved it. And I loved the lyrics, I loved what they said. I just loved the rawness of it.
It was immediate. When I first heard it, I wanted to do that. Like, I literally kind of quit playing with the guys I'd been playing with up to that point, and then like sought out other kids in town that were into that, which strangely there was like a group.
And then the Blue Hippos, you know, like all teenage things, you know, they last like 9 months, maybe 12 months, you know, and everybody kind of gets tired of it.
A lot of us hung out together because we were all musicians and we were all, you know, starting bands.
I mean, you didn't really have a choice because it's not like you could pick from 14 people as to, well, geez, who should we have plays? Clarence? Brad? No, I don't like his hair. You know, it wasn't like that. It was like, you know, there's only 4 of you. So that's just enough for a band. There you go.
We formed Todlachen with Tom Hazelmeyer.
The name was a Yiddish phrase for laughing at death. You know, making light of something that shouldn't laugh at, which is one of the things that drew me to punk rock and hardcore in the first place.
I think there was a certain amount of discontent, disdain for popular culture.
You were definitely on the mutant fringe.
Like me, I felt like an outsider, but I also felt like I was cool because I was hip to this stuff and nobody knows about it, you know. But I used to just walk around high school like, hey, I'm in a band, I'm playing bars.
One of the things that we definitely jumped into, along with a lot of other bands at that moment, was like the need for speed, the need to, you know, play 1,000 miles an hour.
The only other band that I can remember doing it at that particular time was Hüsker Dü, and they were at the forefront of all of that.
Trickles down, you know, it starts at the top. You know, here's Suicide Commandos, here's Hüsker Dü, and then it's just like all these people who watched them and saw them, and, you know, their friends doing it because their friends did it, and their friends doing it.
It's more eclectic than you would think. There was so many other bands that were not playing this real particular kind of hardcore music.
But yeah, there was a lot of great music from all types of genres and all over. I mean, it was a great time for music.
You gotta come see this bar. It's a place where they all are. Take my car, it's not far. They think that they're stars.
I mean, that's kind of the thing about Minneapolis. I mean, every band kind of got rewarded for not just going 1, 2, 3, 4, like skate. And there was like this really freaks were welcome kind of scene. And there was some interesting stuff being done.
we were such subset. I mean, you get 200 people out, that was a great night. You get 100 people out, that's a stellar night still. You get 30 people, it's a Tuesday. And Rifle Sport was like, it wasn't a punk band, we were a post-punk band. Oh, I remember the things we wanted to do. We wanted to get free beer. And we wanted to be in the scene.
I thought the scene was extremely welcoming. Geez, I never had that in high school. You know, people thought I was a dork. Now they think I'm cool. Wow, I like this punk rock stuff. Growing up, if I wanted to go see a band, I'd have to go to see an arena show. You'd walk in, it'd be this enormous room, the band's way over there. But then it was like, I'm in the entry and it's like 6 feet away from the band. You're right there and everyone around you is dancing and interacting with the band, and it's like, this is a lot more fun. People lumped us in with hardcore, so we wound up playing a lot of hardcore shows and being considered hardcore, which we never really felt like we were, but, you know, hey, if it's getting some publicity, it's like, oh, yeah, we're hardcore.
And we'd tour through the Midwest, and there would be posters, and it would say, St. Paul Hardcore, or from Chicago, Rifle Sport, Hardcore, you know, and they'd have like a drawing from artists from California that they pasted on the poster, you know, and it was all like generic.
Chris was probably more into it than the rest of us, but yeah, we weren't, but we were. We sat on the edge of hardcore.
Any musical movement that has an impact usually is because a lot of like-minded people were coming upon the same conclusion, the same idea at the same time.
I remember in like 1980, I wrote a song and I went, you know, it'd be really cool is just to play this as fast as humanly possible.
And when you get a band that comes along that's called Loud, Fast Rules, that sort of is declarative, right, of what everybody was trying to do in those days.
You know, they played fast stuff, but they were not hardcore, and I would say they're like maybe punk rock in the traditional sense of like when punk rock could be a wide variety of things.
You know, Dave played saxophone in the early days with our band. We did Hot Pants by James Brown. It was like we were all over the place on purpose. I mean, that's what we wanted to do.
We would play some hardcore. We'd play some Sex Pistols. We'd play something a little different, or like, you know how the Ramones would cover like weird old 60s pop songs.
And we had Pat Morley was our drummer, who was technically very, very good. But I think Pat Morley really wanted the band to be hardcore, so he turned everything into do-do-do. It was just like really on top of the beat. He started like writing songs, like kind of like 2-minute just hardcore songs and stuff. That's the last thing the drummer does in the band, by the way. Oh, I wrote some songs, you know.
We changed the name from Loud Fast Rules because it was some other band's slogan. But that's not why. I just thought it was too, I think the word is pigeonholing. And besides, it had rules in it, which I'm like, I don't even like rules.
If we had gone away and never had any success in the 90s, I think people would have remembered that era of Loud Fast Rules and Soul Asylum differently, because we were kind of a messy, scrappy little fucking shit show of a band that was a whirling dervish for sure.
I sort of saw the band as part of that scene, like all the bands that we were playing with, and there was maybe half the bands are very devoted to every song being super nasty and super hardcore.
The idea for Red Meat was basically, because I was listening to a lot of Iron Maiden and Motorhead, was to be like metal punk, you know, but through hardcore.
Red Meat was hardcore. they were like, you know, hardcore.
I enjoyed them a lot. That was a really grungy, dirty, loud, blasting sound, but they were also funny. I mean, the fact that they called themselves Red Meat
was this grinding, loud, screaming rock. But for me, it was like the perfect antidote that could kind of capture my spirit.
We just wanted to be really loud, and that's really all we wanted to do.
That is the credo of hardcore, trying to make it but don't know what we want to. You had no idea what you're doing.
I'm sober, and it was just like, you know, what do you do with this crazy energy? What do you do with it? So punk rock was perfect because it was like romper room of aggression. You know, it was like kind of a contained force. You know, we were into a little bit of graffiti and that kind of stuff, but it wasn't really like we were out trying to hurt people.
The best part of that band was Toby Beale was in that band, who was like the only real punk in Minneapolis, and he was the drummer.
Toby was a rebel, a real rebel.
Toby was the kind of guy that slept in his clothes next to a tray full of burning cigarettes. I think he probably lived in the basement, like in the punk room.
Well, you know, he would piss his pants and not change clothes because he figured, why bother? I'm just going to piss my pants again. He'd do that for days.
We were not liked. We were hated. That's what you should be hated. But we weren't hated for like, you know, like cutting chickens' heads off or anything like that. We were hated probably because we had Toby in our band and we couldn't play at the 7th Street entry. We were barred from the entry for life if we had Toby in our band because he slit the tires on a cop car that was parked in front of the entry for no apparent reason. You know, with a switchblade. He always had a switchblade on him too. He was very punk rock. And so, you know, we were the Goofy's Upper Deck band, you know, by default.
Hey, there's a new venue, and it's right near First Avenue, and it's, you know, Goofy's Upper Deck. It's a strip bar, and they have a room upstairs. And it's like, well, that's cool. And I remember the first time I went there, it's like, I guess they had rock bands in there before because they had, like, wall art that was, like, Jefferson Starship, like, album covers, like, blown up. And it was dark, and it was really kind of sleazy. You had to go up a long staircase. For some reason, all of a sudden, you know, like, that's where Black Flag is playing with the Minutemen. But it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, all the hardcore shows they're going to be at the Upper Deck.
Teenager!